Let's get to another ranked game that we had on Saturday. Number 17 Vanderbilt taking down number 10 LSU, 31-24. Let's go over the highest graded player, starting off with the Vanderbilt Commodores. Their highest graded player was tight end Cole Spence with a 90.6 grade. Cornerback Mark Davis, 84. Jordan White, the star center for Vanderbilt, with a 75.3. McKylan Young, the running back, 74. Joshua Singh, D tackle, 73.1. And of course, Diego Pavia with a 90.3 grade, hitting the Heisman pose as well in the win over LSU. Maybe in that Heisman race right now, Dalton. I'll say it right now. Absolutely.
No, absolutely. He's at least in there. He has to be.
Yeah.
No question.
LSU, their highest grade players in the loss. Tradez Green, the monster tight end, 84.3. Mansour Delane, the star cornerback, the winner of our midseason Thorpe Award, 72.5. DJ Pickett, the true freshman corner for LSU, 71.8. Braylon Moore, the center, 71.3. Devon Keys, the linebacker, 70.5. And Garrett Nussmeier, who tried to be a hero, and it almost worked out for LSU, but not quite enough, with a 76.2 grade in the loss. Dalton, what told the story for you in this game?
It's a great thing to mention there that Nussmeier, he did everything he could, man.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you saw him even distraught on the sideline because the effort that he put in, even through all the hits that he's taken. Look at that. I mean, you could make a highlight reel of the hits that he's taken the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's just been unbelievable how tough that guy is. You have to credit him. But at the end of the day, and this is crazy to say when you're talking about a game, and again, you got to kind of get out of the old mindset here, but in a game between LSU and Vanderbilt was clearly the better team in the trenches. That's a wild statement to make, and I think that's a big reason why this Vanderbilt team is so much better than they were last year. I think there's 2 big reasons: better in the trenches, and I think more receiving depth. When you talk about now a second tight end in Cole Spence who's emerged, you talk about receivers like Junior Sherrill and Trey Richardson, and there's just a better depth of pass-catching options. But this trench play in this game, Vanderbilt offensive line grade 70, pass blocking grade 83. A lot of the pressures on Pavia were really created by Blake Baker. LSU was not winning much up front on their defensive line, their pass rushers, okay? Blake Baker had some good looks going, got a lot of unblocked pressures, but Pavia worked around him for the most part. That's what makes him so dangerous. LSU's offensive line, PFF grade 49.9, pass blocking grade 43.
That's not new.
It's not new either for this season. And it was my biggest concern coming into this year about LSU was, they have Nussmeier. They have all the weapons. They got more weapons emerging, right? They've got Caden Durham coming back. They got everything coming back. They lost 4 starters to the NFL on the offensive line. And when it's guys, especially like Will Campbell at left tackle, you don't just replace those guys overnight. That's not a thing that happens. When you had one of the best offensive lines in the country over the last 3 years, right? That was a unit with a ton of experience, too, that had played together for so long, lost 4 starters. I think you're seeing these repercussions every week. We've talked about it so much in the run game in past weeks where they struggled to run the ball. I think they had 100 yards flat rushing in this game, too. They didn't really run the football very well in this game. The pass protection now and the amount that Garrett Nussmeier as a drop-back passer is getting hit, it's unsustainable. And credit to him for working through that. And he was so good under pressure in this game. But they're losing one-on-one battles up front. And it's a problem. And if I really think a huge reason, if they end up missing the playoff, I really think a huge reason is because this offensive line lost so many pieces from a unit that was so great for multiple years. And now you see, especially Will Campbell, a guy that's playing so great for New England right now as their starting left tackle. You don't just lose guys like that and replace them. It's not that easy, especially up front when there was so much continuity. So I think, look, Vanderbilt's offensive line was better. Their defensive line by the grading was 9-10 points better in this game. They won this game in the trenches. And that's a big difference because last year when Vanderbilt was losing games, it's because they just weren't quite there yet. They weren't there. Pavia and Stowers were a threat. The coverage was getting better, but they weren't there in the trenches yet. This team is there now. They're at least solid enough where they can compete at the top of the SEC now. It's why they're in the playoff race. And now, and when you have Pavia and you have him protected outside of the creative blitz looks from Blake Baker, just unbelievable stuff from Vandy on both sides of the ball. But I think the trench play was a huge difference, and it's still a huge – LSU's got to play A&M next week. It doesn't get easier. This offensive line especially has got to figure it out.
Yeah, I want to shout out Jordan White real quick, the transfer center they got from Liberty. He was an outstanding player at Liberty. He transferred over to Vanderbilt. He's been one of the best centers in the country this year. I know there's been the entire offensive line too, but I think Jordan White's been the leader of that offensive line as a transfer from Liberty, and he's been great for them so far. So great get by Clark Lee and that staff for finding him in the portal, because he was a star player at Liberty at center, and he's been a star player for Vanderbilt at center this year too.
And he played guard last year, played center in 2023, played guard last year, and now back at center, and he's been their best offensive line. He's been outstanding.
Yep. So speaking of the trenches, Vanderbilt with 247 rushing yards against LSU in this one. They were able to really avoid LSU's elite secondary, guys like Mansour Delane and A.J. Halsey and D.J. Pickett and Tamarcus Cooley. They were able to avoid them for the most part in this game. We'll talk about Diego Pavia more in a minute, who did play very well, but 5.6 yards per carry for Vanderbilt, 7 explosive runs totaling 147 yards on explosive runs. Diego Pavia had 91 yards on the ground. McKylan Young had 85 yards on the ground too, and a 66.6 run blocking grade is the best for Vanderbilt against a Power 4 team this year too. So the offensive line, Pavia, Young, everyone in that run game was really firing on all cylinders against LSU. 247 rushing yards will get it done against LSU.
Absolutely. 7 explosive runs, forced 9 missed tackles against what's generally been a very good tackling unit this year. And you know what you felt? You felt the absence of Whit Weeks.
Yes,
I mean, when we heard, I believe it was the night before, that he was doubtful for this game, and I was already concerned about Vanderbilt's ability to run the ball on LSU, that this could be a vulnerable spot for LSU, particularly between the tackles. And then we heard that Whit Weeks was doubtful. I was like, that's an issue. That's a serious issue, because that's the guy that you need in this game, and his absence clearly, I think, played a big part in it, on top of the offensive line winning at the first level.
Absolutely. Dalton, what stood out the most for you in this game?
I think just actually on both sides, because I want to throw Trades Green in here, just the tight end play, man.
Shout out Max Toscano.
Shout out Max Toscano. He's always pointing out the tight ends. I'm going to pull a Max here on this show. I mean, you look at, first of all, Cole Spence in his emergence over the last 2 weeks, and all of a sudden you've got 2 good tight ends in an offense that can get so creative.
Great. I mean, Eli Stowers might be the best in the country.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and Spence in this game, 5 catches, 56 yards, a touchdown, a couple of really nice catches on off-target throws. Stowers also had 3 for 32. He's always a factor and somebody that defenses have to look out for. And you feel like one of these weeks, it's going to be a huge Stowers week, because everybody else has been getting the job done. Alexander, Pavia scrambling, Cole Spence now the last couple of weeks, right? Trey Richardson with the speed, right? One of these weeks, a defense is going to forget about Eli Stowers, and he's going to go for 130. I'm just feeling it. I know he hasn't had that huge breakout game yet this year. That's coming. I think teams are just so keyed in on him. But if you can get in this 12 personnel with him and Cole Spence, and Spence is a legit threat, you got some serious matchup nightmares. So those 2 guys both really good again. And then Trades Green right now is LSU's best player.
Yeah.
He looks like Kyle Pitts out there. That's what we're really looking at. 85.6 receiving grade in this game. 5 catches, 74 yards, the touchdown on the middle screen. I think it's just the best way I can put it. He's their best offensive player, and I think they came out of the bye week last week going, you know what, or I should say the bye week 2 weeks ago, and then last week's game against South Carolina, going, this guy's a freak. We just got to use him. He's uncoverable. I think there really are times where he's uncoverable, and an athlete like that at 6'7", I hate that, but don't worry about it. It's just one. Yeah. I know somebody, Eli probably in the back, just did it.
I don't even know what that even is referring to. By the way.
It's just nonsense. Yeah, see, there goes Eli back. But either at 6'7", Trades Green is just an outstanding football player.
You're an old man, Dalton. That's what you are.
I know. No, I've always been one. But that's just like
you've been an old man since you were born, dude. You were born 42 years old.
No, exactly. Yeah. And now I'm just 72. Yes. I just if you're gonna come up with some random stupid phrase, please just have a reason for it. There's just no background at all.
I'll admit I don't know what it's referring to.
No one does.
Yeah, it's very dumb.
Just at least have, if you're gonna have a stupid phrase. I have a lot of stupid phrases, but at least I have some sort of origin story.
Yeah, you watch Beavis and Butthead, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
But at least that comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess so.
Boy, oh boy. Anyway, we're side. That's my old man rant of the day.
All right, I'll shout out another old man, Diego Pavia, right now. But Diego Pavia's been unbelievable. He's been unbelievable for Vanderbilt right now. The heart and soul of Vanderbilt's program, quickly becoming a legend in college football. 90.3 PFF grade for Pavia in the win. Like I mentioned before, he ran for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns. 91.9 passing grade with 3 big-time throws and 0 turnover-worthy plays. Just some stupid, I know Johnny Manziel is mentoring right now, like some Johnny Manziel-esque plays back there where he's like spinning around, somehow finds a receiver wide open, somehow escapes pressure and gets the first down. Just a heroic performance by Diego Pavia in this game. Constantly made magic happen against LSU, and that's been the defining characteristic of Diego Pavia in his career. Magical. This guy's magical for Vanderbilt back there. Vanderbilt, 6-1 for the first time in 75 years that the Commodores are 6-1 to start a season. It's their second win over a top 10 team in the last 2 years, is of course beating number 1 Alabama last year. So 2 wins against top 10 teams with Diego Pavia in 2 years. They had 2 in the previous 48 seasons combined, dude. What Diego Pavia is doing at that program right now is unbelievable. And I think, Dalton, the stat that told the story for me really in this game, Vanderbilt at home beat a top 10 team in LSU. They did not storm the field.
Don't need to.
That is what has changed in this Vanderbilt program, is that they expected to win this game. Not hope for a win. They expected to win this game because of what Clark Lee and really what Diego Pavia has done for that program. That, to me, told the story. Because I was expecting, okay, they're going to rush the field. They didn't. They're like, oh, all right, good win. Let's move on to next week. Vanderbilt football is legit now. It's not only a Cinderella story like last year. It is a legitimate college football playoff contender this year.
Yep. Missouri, Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee. Can they go 4-1 out of that?
They could.
They go 4-1 out of that. They're going. They're going to be in the top 12. And
Vanderbilt in the playoff would rule.
Oh,
too.
this Missouri game next week, and we're going to get into Missouri-Auburn in a bit. But this Vandy-Missouri game next week, boy, what it would set one of those 2 teams up for the rest of the way. What a ball game that's going to be. Yeah. I think that's just an outstanding. And the fact that it's those 2 teams who, even though there was decent expectations of them, were really thought of in the second or maybe even third tier of the SEC, you're talking about inner circle, whoever wins that game next week.
Yep. Andrew Harbaugh in the chat right now says, as a father of a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old, the 6-7 thing is going to be the death of me. I think it's also going to be the death of Tyler back there. I know his kids have been doing the 6-7 thing.
Oh, yeah. No, I can't even imagine what parents are going
So many people in the chat are like, I have no idea what the 6-7 thing means either. We're not alone here. We're not alone. It's just Eli's doing it.
Yeah, Ty's going to strangle him back there is what he's going to do. Oh, boy.
What a win for Vanderbilt, though. 31-24 win over a top 10 team in LSU, and the Vanderbilt Commodores are all of a sudden looking more and more likely as a college football playoff contender this year. Could not believe I'm saying that a couple years ago, but that's what happens when you get a guy like Diego Pavia and get some magic in that program.